Welcome to part number 2, The Power of Solitude. Solitude as privilege. Some people avoid being alone like it's some kind of punishment. But your attitude is the opposite. You treat solitude like a privilege. While others try to drown silence with noise, you discovered power in the quiet. Your peace doesn't come from outside. It rises from within. And that's rare in today's world, where people fear solitude and are obsessed with constant connection. Solitude has become suspicious. But when you're alone, you're not lonely. You're searching for a kind of power that's hard to find in today's world. You are aligned. Stoic wisdom on solitude. The Stoics believed in the power of solitude. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." People stay happy in illusions because they avoid facing reality. But solitude helps you see the difference. It strips away the projections, the noise, the drama. You start asking, what here is difficult? What is real? What is mine to carry? And what is just static? Aristotle called contemplation the highest form of human activity. When you're not busy reacting, you get to shape how you respond. And that space, the one between stimulus and response, that's where strength is built. That's where clarity sharpens. Sacred alone time. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness doesn't come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." You felt that ache, being in a room full of people and still feeling disconnected. You crave depth, not just presence. And depth begins in solitude. Don't let anyone make you feel strange just because you enjoy your own company. Your alone time isn't empty, it's sacred. It's where you refine your thoughts, heal your wounds, and build the kind of inner peace that doesn't crumble when the world gets loud. Beyond chasing. From chasing to attracting. There comes a moment when you realize chasing doesn't work. Not for people, not for love, not for recognition. And when that shift happens, something settles inside you. You stop trying to fit into places you've already outgrown. You stop explaining your worth to those who refuse to see it, to those who don't believe in reality. You no longer knock on doors that were never meant to open for you. This isn't bitterness. This is alignment. Self-sufficiency and attraction. When you've done the inner work, when you've faced your shadows, your energy changes. It stops reaching and starts attracting. What's meant for you begins to flow naturally, not because you forced it, but because you matched it. This is what Stoic self-sufficiency looks like. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength that will always spring up if you will always look. And when you know what you bring to the table, you're not afraid to eat alone." Raised standards. People might label your peace as pride, your distance as detachment, but the truth is, you've simply raised your standards. You're not desperate for connection. You're intentional with it. Just because someone enters your life doesn't mean they're meant to stay. Just because something feels good momentarily doesn't mean it's aligned with your growth. This world has always worked like this. As long as you're useful, people will use you. And when they're done, they'll toss you away like a stone in the street. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Making peace with yourself is a daily habit. That's what makes your energy, your aura, steady and attractive. Not the noise, not the hustle, but the stillness that comes from knowing. You don't have to run after what is already truly yours. The weight of calm. Quiet certainty. There's something about true calm that speaks louder and hits harder than any noise ever could. You don't need to say a single word. Your energy and your aura do the talking for you. There's a quiet certainty in you, a presence that shakes people, not because you're doing something to them, but because you're revealing something within them. Your peace carries weight. It reminds people who's standing in front of them and what they've been hiding under layers of distraction, noise, and performance. A mirror of self-awareness. When they stand near you, it becomes painfully clear they haven't found that kind of peace. Your stillness amplifies their restlessness. Your groundedness exposes their avoidance. Your authenticity makes their masks feel suffocating. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When people react strongly to your presence, it's rarely about you. It's about the parts of themselves they aren't ready to face. Stoic non-attachment. You're not provoking with judgment. You're simply holding up a mirror that most aren't ready to look into, so they run from it. Stoic wisdom reminds us, don't take it personally. Epictetus said, "When someone irritates you, it's your own response that is to blame." You've learned to stay centered, even when misunderstood, because their triggers are their story, not yours. By simply being real, calm, and unshaken, you invite others to become more self-aware. And whether they embrace that or resist it, you've given them a gift, even if it doesn't always feel like one. Boundaries without explanation. Silent boundary setting. You don't announce your boundaries like billboards. You don't need to. People understand through the way you carry yourself, through how you look, how you speak, and how you don't overextend yourself. The message is clear. This is someone who respects themselves. And when you respect yourself, people either rise to meet you or quietly remove themselves. Either way, it works in your favor. You're not aggressive or cold. You're simply clear. Self-possession. In a world full of mixed signals and blurred lines, clarity can feel intimidating. Most people bend, over-accommodate, and apologize for simply having needs. But you've done enough inner work to know where you end and someone else begins. That's when you begin to understand the power you hold. That's called self-possession, and it's magnetic. The Stoics called it living in accordance with nature, aligning your actions with your values. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Boundaries as filters. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about keeping your energy clean. They are filters, not walls. They don't shout, "Stay away." They whisper, "If you're not aligned, you won't stay." That filter protects your peace and ensures your space is not filled with chaos, disrespect, or emotional freeloaders. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Part of that privilege is learning what you can accept and what you cannot. Your boundaries aren't selfish. They are self-honoring. They are the quiet architecture of a strong life.
Leading by example.
Quiet leadership. There is a kind of quiet leadership that doesn't come from shouting or showing off. It comes simply from being. You're not trying to convert anyone, nor are you forcing people to change. You just live in alignment with your values, and that alone shakes people. They watch how you move, how you carry yourself, how you handle pressure without losing your center. Your growth is visible, your discipline is felt, and your aura is seen. That consistency does not go unnoticed. The ripple effect. Some people will deeply admire it because they feel the reality in it, and it reminds them of what they want to become. Others may resist because it confronts them with the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. Either way, your energy creates a ripple. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. You've built habits that took time but are rooted in discipline, focus, and self-awareness. You don't just talk about becoming better. You quietly and consistently live it, even when no one is watching. Authentic transformation. Carl Jung said, "The man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them." You've walked through fire. You've faced hard truths. You've made hard choices because that's reality. You've emerged with a kind of self-respect that can't be faked. That presence doesn't need to convince anyone. It speaks for itself. You became a role model not by trying, but by being real, by doing the work, by not quitting on yourself when things got tough. The right people won't feel threatened by your growth. They'll feel inspired. They'll see your light and use it to ignite their own.
The power of silence.
Owning the quiet. Some people try to fill every moment with words because silence makes them anxious. But not you. You don't fear the quiet. You own it. There's power in sitting with stillness. You don't rush to fill it. You don't fumble for the next sentence. You let the moment breathe. And in doing so, you create space. Not just around you, but inside others too. That space is where truth begins to echo. Charged presence. When you're silent, it's not empty, it's charged. People feel that you are fully present, without saying a single word. That presence carries weight, not heavy, but real. It makes others aware of how much noise they've used to distract themselves. Carl Jung said, "Solitude is the fountain of healing that makes my life worth living." Your silence operates the same way, not just for yourself, but for those around you. Deep connection through stillness. Sometimes the deepest connection you can offer is simply sitting beside someone in full awareness. No words needed. You've had that moment, where 5 minutes of silence felt more understanding than hours of conversation. That's when it becomes clear just how much power you own. That's the space you offer. Your calm doesn't just soothe, it reflects. It holds up a mirror. People feel so much in your silence because it's not about withdrawal, it's about presence. The Stoics believed stillness was a kind of strength, a discipline in itself. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is never permitted to prove himself." And you've proved yourself, not by shouting your story, but by sitting with it and letting your stillness speak volumes. It is now.
Will head of Massable now.
Wait for part 3. Coming soon.